your history, remember. Really, so glad to be here with you, to share God's word with you. Really, it's an honor and privilege. So Pastor Andy said, point number 1 is discover my God-given identity. And the next point is embrace. My confidence grows when I embrace my God-given assignment. This is such a powerful statement. I want to just dig into this. What is the assignment? What is the task? What is the role that only you can accomplish? That God has given you, and only you can do. You're uniquely shaped. You're uniquely planned out. The way you are wired is you. And God has placed that on your life right now for such a time as this. If you could figure this out, that solves a lot of the worries and the concerns, the uncertainty, the lack of confidence that we experience. Pastor Rick, our founding pastor, wrote a book many years ago, did very well. It was, What on Earth Am I Here For? Purpose-Driven Life. Or what on earth am I here for? What is it that I'm here for? If we can figure this out, it would make a huge difference. So let me point to from Judges chapter 6, the verse 13 and 14, and let's examine together, let's dig deeper into what God's assignment is for Gideon, and see what we can learn from that. It says in verse 13, Sir, Gideon replied, if the Lord is with us, why has all this happened to us? And where are all the miracles our ancestors told us about? Didn't they say, the Lord brought us up out of Egypt? But now the Lord has abandoned us and handed us over to the Midianites. So Gideon, I love Gideon, by the way. Now he's complaining, right? He's complaining, and he's bringing up these theological and faith crisis of faith. Like, God, can I really believe you? You're saying you're with us, but can I really believe you? Look at my people; they're starving. The Midianites are taking all of our food, and he's bringing up all of these worries and concerns and doubts and fears to this angel. Then in verse 14, this is God's reply, and we should pay attention. What is God's reply to our crisis of faith? When we're not sure we're meant to do what God has called us to do, when we're not sure if God is really even with us, what should we say? In verse 14 it says, Then the Lord turned to him and said, this is so powerful, go with the strength you have. Go with the strength you have and rescue Israel from the Midianites. And if you could underline this phrase right here, I am sending you. I am sending you. So here's Gideon. He's bringing up all these problems. Can the people of God really trust you? Are you really with us? We're starving here. We're dying here. We're being oppressed by so many outside forces. Can we really trust that you're with us? And God's response is not a sermon. It's not a program. It's not a policy. It's, I'm sending you. God's response is to give people, ordinary men, ordinary women, just like you and me, an assignment. Here, I'm calling you to do this. I'm raising you up. Here at Saddleback, we have a principle. All of our volunteers, we say, you're it principle. Pastor Rick came up with it. You're it principle. So if you see a problem, right, then you're it. Right? So, the coffee is not so good today. The temperature was not so good. Guess what? You're it. You're going to join our coffee team. Right? Oh man, the youth ministry, the students, they're like running around, they're crazy. Guess what? You're it. You got to serve there, right? Or the kids, I think the kids can do more things. They have more fun. You're it. Right? Every single volunteer, we did a survey recently. Pastor Rob, our ministry pastor, did a survey. We have a small army of volunteers here at our campus in Irvine North. 250, 300 volunteers. It takes almost every week serving to make our campus run, to make the Sundays happen, to make midweek happen, to make small groups happen. And one of the reasons, the surveys we did, questions was, why did you start serving? And the overwhelming response was, I saw a need. Right? I saw a problem. And that's why I served. And you might think, okay, is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? That's how God works. God puts in front of us something that just put this discontent. I'm unhappy with this. And that's how he nudges us to give us the assignment we have. Maybe you're not happy with your family life. Maybe you're not happy with your home life. Maybe you're unhappy at work, right? The vibe is not good. Everyone's so down and depressed. Maybe you're called to make a difference there, right? That's what it means to get that God-given assignment. I remember reading randomly, I don't even know if this story is true, the founder of Apple Computer, the inventor of the iPhone, Steve Jobs, right? Apparently, he grew up in church. He grew up in a Lutheran church, and one day he went to his pastor. I think he was like a teenager, like 12, 13 maybe. He went to his pastor, and he showed up with a copy of the National Geographic, and on the magazine was a picture of these kids that were starving. And he's like, look at this. If God is real, how could this happen in, I think maybe Africa or Asia, somewhere in the world? How could, if God is real, why would you let these poor children starve? Right? He thought he was a smart guy, right? He said, if you don't give me a good answer, I'm not coming back next week. That's what he challenged Steve Jobs. He challenged this pastor. And apparently what the story was is he never went back. I don't know what the pastor said, but I wish the pastor had told him what God told Gideon. Because that's the same thing Gideon was saying to God. Look at the passage in verse 13. Look at, where are all these things happening? And yeah, I know what happened in Egypt, but where are you now, God? My people, my kids are starving. That's why Gideon's threshing wheat and hiding somewhere, because he's afraid the Midianites will steal his food that he wants to give to his family. Right, where are you, God? That's the same question. And the answer is, I'm sending you. I'm sending you. The answer, I wish, imagine with me, if Steve Jobs, that was the answer. Hey, if you're such a smart guy, why don't you solve world hunger, right? Maybe we would have iPhones today, right? Maybe we would go around saving all the problems in the world, but we wouldn't have this, and we would be addicted to our smartphones. But it's a powerful thing to know that God raises up people to answer the world's problems.